Hi there, Jesse here with eTrailer. Today we'll be taking a look at, and I'll show you how to install the EcoHitch Stealth Trailer Hitch Receiver on our 2024 BMW i4. Adding hitch to the i4 makes a bit of sense. It's going to give you the ability to add on some extra storage space to the rear of your vehicle, whether it be something like a bike rack, a cargo carrier, or you could even possibly do some light-duty towing with your BMW. Here's a closer look at our hitch installed on our BMW here. You can see the cross tubes are completely behind the fascia here, so all you'll be seeing is the receiver opening. It's got kind of a matte black finish to it with a standard 2" by 2" receiver opening. That's going to be standard for most of your accessories. Then behind that we have a 5/8" pinhole. The pin and clip are not included with the hitch. However, we do have many options available here at eTrailer. Also, any accessory that you add on will most likely come with one included. This hitch does have safety cable loops. They're kind of tucked up behind here. I found it really hard to get safety cables on there. I was able to slip an S-style on there. I think they're really just there in case you get caught in a pickle and you absolutely have to tow something. You know that you are able to get some safety cables up there. Now for some measurements from the ground to the top of the inside of the collar is about 11 1/4 inches. Then from the center of the pinhole to the edge of the bumper is about 4 inches. Keep that in mind for any folding accessories that you might add on to ensure they don't make contact with the vehicle. Now for the weight capacities, once again, I'm not sure how many people plan on towing with their BMW, but for example, your gross trailer weight will be 3,500 pounds. That's the maximum amount of weight that you can pull behind the vehicle with trailer and everything on it included. Then we have a maximum tongue weight of 350 pounds. That's the amount of weight pushing down on the hitch. Just be sure to double check your BMW's owner's manual to ensure that your vehicle can handle that weight safely. All in all, if you're looking to add a hitch to your i4, there's really not a lot of options out there, but you really can't go wrong with the EcoHitch. As for the installation, it does involve getting up into some pretty tight spaces behind the fascia and getting some hardware torqued down. So if it's not something that you're looking to do yourself, maybe you don't have the time, the space, or the tools to do so, then feel free to check out our dealer locator. If you are looking to get this installed yourself, then just follow along and I'll walk you through the process. Also, if you have installed this hitch and you just want to share some tips or tricks, or maybe you just want to share some photos of what you're using your hitch for, then please feel free to leave a comment or a review. We'll begin our installation under the vehicle here. We need to remove this bottom plate, so we'll just go down the line. There's a bunch of 10mm screws holding it up. Just go around and make sure you get them all off. That last one off, we should be able to pull this out and set it aside. On the driver's side, we'll need to remove this piece. So once again, they're 10mm screws. There's one tucked up here. One more up here. You'll need a longer extension to get this one off. Now we have two more 10mm holding it in to the wheel well here. So it's kind of tight. May have to just use a ratchet to get those off. And now we should be able to pull this out. Next, we need to remove the nuts that are holding our bumper beam in. I highly recommend just doing one side at a time, just that way the bumper is not gonna try to pull itself off at all. We'll take an 18mm socket. The lower nut is right here. We'll get that loosened up and taken off. Now for the upper nut, it might be easier to come in from the outside. That's what I'll try. Now with both those off, we will move to this cross member brace here. We have a T60 bolt that we'll remove. We'll get that pulled out. For our cross member brace, it's going to be installed this way. Our bumper beam bolts or studs will slide through these two holes, and then our T60 Torx bolt will go through this hole up. So we'll just have to work this up into place. Slide it over the studs. I'm not going to install the nuts quite yet because I want to focus on getting this lined up. We also have to slide the spacer block in between. So get that slid in, and then I'll just thread on our bolt. And now we can get our two nuts on the bumper beam installed. Now we can get that all tightened down, and then we'll repeat the same process on the other side. We're ready to lift our hitch assembly up into place. It's a good idea to have an extra set of hands. I have my friend Joe here to help me. We're gonna have to sneak it up past the fascia there. It may be pretty tight, so. Let's get that in place, get our front hole lined up and slide our bolt through. So we got those bottom bolts started. We're kind of at an angle and it's fighting us. So to get everything else lined up, I'll just hit it a few times with a dead blow. Then I should be able to get the rest of the hardware installed. All of our hardware will be installed the same way. We'll have a bolt, first to put on a lock washer, then a flat washer. It's going to go through the inside, and then we'll put our nut on. So just get that slid through your hole and get that nut started. And we'll do that with all the hardware, then tighten them down. To get this tightened down, we'll use a 19mm wrench and a 19mm socket. Now we'll take a torque wrench to torque our hardware down to the specification listed in the instructions. Now we'll take our hitch and the larger bolt, same as our other hardware. It'll be bolt, lock washer, flat washer. Just slide this up. And get our bolt to go through, and then we can start threading it in. Now we can tighten that bolt down with a 15/16 inch socket. And we'll get that torqued down. Now we need to cut a section of our underbody panel before we can reinstall it. They do have a diagram in the instructions, but there's no measurements and it's kind of hard to judge what they're asking for. So what I did is I just kind of mocked up where the hitch will line up with, and I marked it with a paint marker. Then we'll take some tin snips and cut that out. This is just felt, so it should cut pretty easy. When you make your cut, one thing to keep in mind is you'll need to make it wide enough to make room for your safety chains to come in and hook up on the loops since they're up here. So I just went a few inches wider on both sides, but now I can just reinstall it the opposite of how we took it off. And that's going to do it for our look at and installation of the EcoHitch Stealth Trailer Hitch Receiver on our 2024 BMW i4.